Alright, before somebody scrolls down to the comments to ask where the postal brain damage video is, that one's gonna be delayed for a bit. I've been helping with moving stuff and it's been a busy week for me. And also, Steam Next Fest. You know what it is. Developers show off demos for the new and upcoming games that you can download and try out for yourself. Let's talk about the demos I didn't like really quickly, and what better place to start than Retchid. Retchid is, and I would feel bad for saying this if I hadn't played it a bit more, a discount Doom 3. It's dark, you're walking around in some sort of base, you'll pick up the occasional PDA log, but it's somehow more boring than the source material, and that certainly isn't helped by the fact that Doom 3 is already incredibly mediocre as it is. As if that wasn't enough confirmation, the game's Steam page description sets it all in stone. The TEC mining facility on Titan has been overrun by beings from another universe. Grab your shotgun and stop this madness. Yeah, okay. The enemy design in Retchid is incredibly generic and, once again, takes what Doom 3 did and manages to dumb it down even more. You've got your... zombies? Yeah, let's go with zombies. They do what you would expect them to. They walk towards you and try to melee you, but 9 times out of 10 it isn't going to happen because you have weapons and they don't. Pistol zombies aren't really any more of a threat than the regular ones, and it isn't very common for them to get a hit on you because they have the aim of a stormtrooper. And SMG zombies, well, they're a bit of a problem. Want to guess why? For whatever reason, enemy gunfire has no muzzle flash, so the only way you'll be able to tell that they're shooting at you is either by hearing the pitiful noises their guns make or watching your health whittle away. There's a damage indicator, but you might as well ignore that because it's hard to see and doesn't stand out well against the lighting. Yeah, no, that's fine. Who needs muzzle flash or a visible damage indicator? Hellscreen, while the concept is definitely fresh and innovative, is kind of disorienting to play because the gimmick is that you have this rear view mirror at the top of the screen that you'll have to use, and the color palette doesn't make it any better. I honestly have an easier time comprehending Cruelty Squad. I also somehow broke the mouse look when I started recording, so, you know, there's that. Only Lead Can Stop Them gave me a decent first impression with its startup screens, which are straight out of 1996, but as soon as the game actually started, that impression faded and it started to feel like I was playing a Capstone game. You know, Capstone, the pinnacle of entertainment software, responsible for such classics as Witch Haven, Corridor 7, Tech War. There's a crosshair that's completely useless because this game is like Doom where you can only look left and right and your vertical aiming is automatic. The pistol and the SMG share the same ammo pool. The pistol is a higher DPS than the SMG, and while the resolution downscaling to mimic what you'd typically see in DOS is definitely a neat detail, the enemies tend to blend in with the environment as a result, which makes it difficult to tell what exactly you're shooting at. That flag in the distance could be a soldier, or alternatively, that soldier in the distance could be a flag. Is that a dog you're looking at, or is that just a warpy floor texture? You can't be sure because everything is so fucking pixelated. That's about all I have to say for the uninteresting ones. I don't want to dedicate half of this video to me complaining about game demos I didn't like, so let's get ahead and jump into the game demos that I did like. First up is Slayers X, which I have the most to say about and is one of my top favorites on this list. Let's start with some background context, which is surprisingly pretty important to understanding this game, and especially its marketing. This game revolves around a character named Zane Lofton, who happens to be from another game called Hypnospace Outlaws. According to the Hypnospace wiki, Zane isn't exactly what you would call a role model. He's kind of a dick, you know, making an entire webpage dedicated to deciding whether people around him are cool or not, and using it mainly as a place to harass people he doesn't like. Now, as I understand it, the lore behind Slayers X is that it began as a comic book series that only had about 3 issues made, starring Zane himself as the main character as he discovers his secret powers known as Hackblood, and teams up with the lead singer of his favorite band called Seepage to save the world from evil demons. From what I've gathered, Zane goes on to make a game called Slayers X Terminal Aftermath, Vengeance of the Slayer, based on his comic books. And that leads us to the first entry in this video. The trailer for the game, which plays as soon as you start it up, genuinely had me under the impression that this was a real game made by a real person named Zane Lofton.
When I was 16, I designed a computer game in this notebook, and it was awesome. But then, it got lost. Or was it? I am the X-Slayer.
We're going to be playing on the I'm Awesome difficulty, because let's face it, I am awesome. Right out of the box, you'll see why I thought this was a real game from the 90s, and that's the software rendering. Well, the apparent software rendering. I was quite surprised to learn that Slayers X runs, not in build, not in idtech, but Unity. Slayers X runs in Unity. I'm seriously impressed the way they managed to perfectly recreate the kind of shaders you'd see in a build engine game running in DOS back in the day. It is absolutely incredible. There's a lot of little details that make it stand out a bit more than most 90s FPS and throwback FPS games, which we'll get to. You start out in Zane's bedroom armed with only an axe, but that'll be redundant pretty quickly because you also get dual pistols. Before you go anywhere else though, break the mirror behind you with the axe and head out into the street. You're going to notice a couple things. First off, I picked up 3 glass shards. Yes, breaking glass gives you 3 glass shard pickups, and you're going to want those because literally just inches away from you is this game's shotgun, the Glass Blaster, which, as the name implies, uses glass as ammunition, meaning breaking windows and mirrors is actually beneficial. Fast, strong, reliable, and overall probably my favorite weapon in the demo. The next thing you're going to see is this thing right here, and you're probably asking yourself, what the hell is that? That is a Jesta, and it basically acts as the Slayers X equivalent of the Cacodemon, except a lot smaller and easier to kill. They float around doing Jesta things, shooting projectiles at you that leave these trails, and I'm pretty sure the trails on their own are harmless, but I'm not entirely sure because I'm usually circle strafing around them. I like the way Zane fires the pistols too, and how sometimes he'll hold one of them sideways in a sort of gangsta fashion. It's neat. There's also a slightly miscolored wall right here that says Squishers sucks. What are Squishers? Well, according to the Hidden Space Outlaw Wiki, it's kind of like Pokemon except with squishy aliens instead of, well, Pokemon. And if you walk through this wall, you can actually find a Squisher behind some glass. Oh, look how cute he is. Can I just take a second to point out how ridiculously smooth these animations are in comparison to your traditional 90s FPS games? Take Duke Nukem 3D, for instance, because that's honestly the first game that comes to mind. See, because of technological limitations at the time, interpolated sprite animations weren't really possible, which is why the animations for weapons and enemies in games from that era are kinda choppy like this. You've also got to account for the fact that these designs are intentional. The lack of frames allows for a single, unique telegraph frame that serves to warn you when an enemy is about to attack, so to smooth them out would make it far more difficult to tell. Slayers X, on the other hand, is designed with intentionally smooth animations, meaning there's nothing to take away from by doing so. And it doesn't just apply to weapons either. Enemies have also gotten special treatment to give this game a unique but satisfying feel to it. It doesn't just look like there's a bunch of 2D sprites wandering around on screen, the world actually feels lived in. There's a sense of charm and character to each individual monster that crosses your path. The animations are smooth, yes, but there's still a distinguishable pattern that tells you when you're in danger, and it works. Next up, you'll want to head into the closet, where it seems Zane has left a message for his mom.
Mom, if you're reading this, you found my secret room. Don't push the button. This is not a secret elevator. Surprise! I was making you a walk-in closet to fit extra clothes. Happy Mother's Day. Zane.
How thoughtful. I remember my mom had a walk-in closet in our old house years ago. She stored all her shoes and dresses in there. It was like walking into a miniature Maurice's. Good place to play hide and seek. Unfortunately for all you mothers out there, this isn't actually a walk-in closet. This is, in fact, a secret elevator.
Secret.
This elevator will take you to the sewers, and, oh, what's this? Normal sewer ahead. Nah, if your city considers this place a normal sewer, everybody living there probably starts with milk, then the cereal, and then the bowl. Behind this board is the psycho assassin who fires syringes of psycho poison at you and is easily taken care of with 1 to 2 shots from the Glass Blaster. Something I noticed when playing this, and this is another thing that makes Slayers X stand out from other boomer shooters, is that enemy corpse sprites actually rotate depending on your relative position to them, which is neat. Remember how I said this game reminded me of the build engine? Well, I'm happy to say that build's most prominent feature has made it into the mechanics. These things, which I was originally going to refer to as shitlings until I was told their real name are poo babies, aren't really dangerous when there's only maybe 3 or 4 of them, but if you find yourself dealing with larger numbers at once, you can get overwhelmed pretty easily. Thankfully, they do negligible damage, and their only attack, which involves them throwing corn niblets at you, is pretty easy to avoid, unless you're colorblind and can't see the color yellow, then you might be fucked. There are larger ones too called poo guys, which have a chance of splitting apart into 2 poo babies when they're killed. I'll be referring to them collectively as shitlings. Also, and I can't tell if this is intentional or not, there seems to be a quirk with the game where sometimes you can't damage enemies that are unaware of your presence. I was constantly triple checking to see if my crosshair was in the right place, and it always was, so I'm assuming this is some sort of bug that they'll have to hammer out later on. Anyways, this secret room has a new weapon pickup, the X100 Rapid Mutilator, and this is the only place in the demo where you can get it. I find it's good for dealing with hordes of monsters, and especially shitlings, but it tends to chew through your ammo, which makes it, at least for me, an only for emergencies kind of weapon. That doesn't mean it's bad though, because it isn't. It kicks ass. This is the first arena you'll come across in the demo, and it's well designed too. Some Jestas, a couple Psycho Assassins at the control panel, and a lot of shitlings. Insert whatever Taco Bell jokes you have here now, because honestly, I've never had issues with their food like other people have. I don't know if it's just a meme or a stereotype or what, but I have yet to have a bad experience with Taco Bell. You also probably noticed me picking up this stuff called Hack Blood Energy. This effectively functions as armor in Slayer's X, and it'll also be used as ammo for a special weapon in the final game, which I'm excited to see. The next weapon you'll get is the Explosive Sludge Launcher, which acts kind of like the grenade launcher from Duke Nukem 64, if the projectiles weren't obnoxious as fuck and actually exploded on impact. I could have sworn they did that before. Anyway, it's awesome. Gets the job done. According to the dev's Twitter, each explosion from this weapon spawns rats that'll attack your target, which is cool, and I actually didn't know that because I just assumed it was your average explosive and didn't really pay close attention, I guess. I mainly save it for cracks in the wall. Granted, this is the demo, and the enemies here aren't super dangerous, so I don't doubt I'll be using it significantly more on release. The final enemy you'll encounter in this demo is the Psycho Injecta, who is covered in 8 small syringes and wears 1 giant syringe on his head, all filled with Psycho Poison. He's fast, annoying, and kind of intimidating if I'm being honest. These guys will rush you the moment you make eye contact with them, and there's something unsettling about the way they peck at you to attack. It's kind of like the weird, gross feeling you get when you play Fallout 3 for the first time and you encounter your first rad scorpion. So what are my thoughts on the Slayer's X demo? I absolutely love it. I would have spoiled more, but if I did that, you would have had no reason to play it. So go on Steam, check out the demo, and wishlist the game. Or else. I remember playing the CULTIC demo when it first came out, and I tell you, it's way different now than it was back then. Improved visuals, improved gameplay, new mechanics, and a completely reworked map. Shout out to Jason Smith for seeing what Blood did right in 1997 and mixing up those classic mechanics with some fresh ideas to bring us this beautiful blend of new and old. I would consider CULTIC to be a spiritual successor to Blood. I would even argue that this can be considered the real Blood 2. It's that good. I honestly don't even know where to start with this one. Everything about it is just perfect, you know? It hits all the right notes without missing a beat, and that's amazing. It takes a lot of work to do something like that, and if anybody did that kind of work, it's Jason. We'll begin with the difficulty, and I'm going to be playing on hard mode. The way the difficulties work in this game is very similar to Blood in the sense that the further down the list you go, the more unforgiving the game becomes. There are 3 kinds of cultists. Axe lads, the basic brown cultists, pistol boys dressed in blue, and the red-robed shotgunners. All 3 of them are pretty self-explanatory, with the shotgunners probably being the most dangerous for obvious reasons, although sometimes you'll find one of the latter 2 carrying SMGs like Blood's fanatics. The first weapon you'll pick up is the axe, and unlike your typical boomer shooter, this one allows you to charge up the primary attack to unleash a more powerful swing. You might have also noticed that it has an ammo counter. That's because you can throw the axes. The axe lads will do this, and if they miss, you can run over and pick it up to add it to your stockpile. You can only throw them if you have at least 2 in your inventory, but even then you won't be using them much because by the time you've got a second one, you'll have the handgun. The handgun, which is a Mauser C26, is actually really reliable, and you'll probably find yourself using it quite frequently even after you've picked up the other weapons. There's a total of 4 different guns in this demo. The handgun, the lever-action rifle, the Sten, which I didn't find in this playthrough, and the obligatory double-barrel shotgun. The Sten and the handgun use the same 9mm ammo pool, which is a bit unorthodox for this kind of game, but I also can't really complain because both of the weapons are great in their own respective ways, which completely makes up for it. The lever-action is one of my favorite weapons in the CULTIC demo. It's accurate, reliable, and does a good bit of damage, and combining it with the headshot mechanics in this game makes for a fascinating experience.
I think I came a little bit.
Of course, how would this be a spiritual successor to Blood without dynamite? Dynamite acts as you would expect it to. You light it, toss it, and wait for the big kaboom. But if you're feeling adventurous and want to exercise your action movie muscles, you can toss an unlit bundle and shoot it to blow it up. Cultists can throw it too, and as far as hard difficulty goes, they only throw it in sticks. I'm not sure if harder difficulties do or eventually will have them throwing bundles, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. This updated version of the demo also introduces a new mechanic to the game, the workbench, which allows you to upgrade your weapons using weapon parts you find scattered throughout the world. These upgrades include damage, accuracy, magazine capacity, and even alternative firing modes. I like getting the full metal jacket upgrade for the pistol because it makes it so much more effective in combat. There's lots of really nice secrets hidden around the levels, and they can be kind of hard to find if you don't know what you're doing, like this one where you have to shoot this crate to open this door where you can get a lever action. It's really neat, and they're really well designed so that you can figure it out pretty easily. Not a whole lot else to say about CULTIC besides the nice little detail that you can see your legs when you look down, which is cool. I'm excited for the full release, whenever that may be, and I sincerely recommend checking this one out if you're a fan of the original Blood.
Heaven is in shambles. They are losing an endless war against the forces of hell, which created a power vacuum within heaven itself. The Orkin Corporation capitalized on this conflict in order to gain control of the Holy Realm and force their nationalistic values on their citizens. But some weren't having any of it. Enter Absentia, or Abby as she calls herself. She resides in the city of Olympus with her girlfriend Aurora and her best friend Orion. The Orkin Corporation, fed up with the trio's rebellious ways, raided their apartment and arrested the three of them. Abby managed to get away, but was separated from her roommates. Armed with only a Tommy gun and her wits, she sets off to find her companions and to make the Orkin Corporation pay for their actions. They may be armed to the teeth, but they have no idea who they're messing with. And no one messes with Abby.
Let's get this party started!
Project Absentia is a fast-paced FPS based upon the GZ Doom framework, whose artwork is designed to capture the aesthetic of early 2000s Newground animations. At first, I made the mistake of skimming over it, but after it managed to find its way in my Steam recommendations and my Twitter feed, I decided I'd give it a shot, and I'm really glad I did. Your starting weapon, the Tommy gun, has infinite ammo and a magazine capacity of 50 rounds. You'll also pick up its secondary fire, the hollow point rounds, which are easy to distinguish from normal rounds by the pattern on the drum mag. Like the previous two games I mentioned, Project Absentia takes heavy inspiration from the build engine, employing world interactivity at any given opportunity and a prominent role for destructible environments. You've also got a dashing ability and a lot of verticality with your jumps, which is going to come in handy throughout the entire game. There is, however, a single feature that makes this game stand out from the rest on this list. This game has Rise of the Triad's food heating feature. I don't really know of any other throwback shooters off the top of my head that have used specific features to acknowledge the existence of rot, save for maybe Dusk and its asbestos armor pickup, but this is a game changer. See, in Rise of the Triad, there was a unique mechanic where if you fired a rocket and hit priest porridge with the splash damage, it would heat it up, which allowed you to pick it up for more health than you would get if it were cold. This is a really nice callback, and quite frankly, I'm sad that nobody else has done this yet, at least to my knowledge. Anyways, lots of fun little secrets and Easter eggs. There's another reference to rot with this bucket of fried chicken, which when picked up transforms you into a chicken for 25 seconds. During this time, you're invincible and can either peck your enemies to death, or you can push Q to end the power up early, but in return, nuke just about everything around you. I'm not entirely sure what this has to do with fried chicken, but I'm not complaining either because it's funny. What's this? Gayo orange soda. Yeah, sure, I could use a drink. I'm kinda thirsty. Comment hashtag FreeCivvy if you've made it this far. This is the equivalent to the supercharged power-up from Doom, and when you drink it, you get a unique message from inside the bottle cap. You'll pick up the Hailer, which is a lot like Duke 3D's Freeze Thrower, but more efficient, and the projectiles don't bounce back to hurt you if they hit a solid surface. There's two versions of the rocket launcher, the regular one, which does exactly what you'd expect it to and has a secondary fire with grenades, and the Heat Seeker, which fires heat-seeking rockets, or, for the price of 4 of those rockets, a small nuclear blast. Right into the second level, there's a secret apartment up here where you can...
Oh, get off you too!
No. No. Don't do this to me. This demo is surprisingly a little bit too long to cover in its entirety, seeing that it's a whole 5 levels instead of just 1 like the other demos in this video. All I can really say is, while it might not be for everybody, I definitely recommend you at least pick it up and give it a try, because the overall design, the voice acting, and the humor are all really damn solid. I have a confession to make. I have never played GoldenEye for the Nintendo 64. I didn't have this game growing up, and to be completely honest, the gameplay I had seen didn't seem very appealing to me. I think it had something to do with the way the camera moved and how I assumed that meant 90% of the game was going to be a rail shooter. Turns out that I'm an idiot, because after playing this game, then going on YouTube and looking up GoldenEye gameplay, I learned that I was completely wrong and made a dumb assumption about a game I'd never played. Who knew? Anyways, Agent 64, Spies Never Die, is an homage to, well, GoldenEye, and let me tell you just how stupid I feel for judging it all those years ago. Agent 64 is a blast. Like, I cannot properly express just how much I have come to respect the source material for this game. I think one of the coolest parts is the toggleable CRT TV filter, which I left on for a more true-to-form experience, because playing a game like this without the appropriate accommodations is like playing Cuphead with a keyboard. It is absolutely essential to make sure you are fully immersed when that's the intent behind the design. The tower is a great introduction to Agent 64, and there's 3 difficulty options to choose from when you start the game. Now, typically when you hear difficulty options, you think of things like enemy count and placement, player and enemy damage multipliers, item scarcity, that sort of thing. But with this game, instead of changing any of those values, you're given an additional objective with each option. There are 3 hard-coded objectives regardless of difficulty. Open the ventilation hatch, access the ground floor, and escape the tower. Special Agent adds the extra task of freeing civilian hostages, and 64 Agent adds another task that requires you to disarm 4 different bombs placed throughout the level. So naturally, I play 64 Agent because I want to get the most out of this experience. I don't think I want to admit how many times this game kicked my ass before recording this footage. Right off the bat, you're out of an elevator, and you kill your first terrorist. Stealth is important in Agent 64. Optional, sure, but if you want to survive, you're going to want to use it to the fullest extent that you can. That silenced pistol your mom packed with your lunch today only has 100 rounds, and there aren't any ammo pickups for it anywhere throughout the map, or on enemies. Every terrorist on this map, save for a single one carrying an unsilenced pistol, has a Viper MK1 submachine gun. Basically, they're all strapped to the teeth with full auto MP9s, and your punk ass waddled into the function with a Fisher-Price 45 ACP shooter. If you think you're going to be walking out of that building alive relying on baby's first handgun and the karate moves you learned from watching SpongeBob and Sandy engage in years of animated domestic violence, I've got some unfortunate news for you. I managed to hit one lucky-ass headshot through this window on the balcony, and I'm not even entirely sure how I did that, considering I was just kind of going with the flow and not using the aiming feature. Aiming is a lot like it is in GoldenEye. You've got the little crosshair that tells you where the bullets are going to go. It does what it's supposed to, not much else to say about it. I'm just glad this game wasn't designed with the N64 controller in mind, because I don't think I would have really gotten that far with it. Up to this point, I've been doing great. I've been kicking ass and taking names. I'm feeling like a Chad. I can't be stopped, right? So I restart the map, play it again, I get back to where I fucked up, and this time I don't fuck up. Go me! This civilian unlocks a door while you're in a shootout with terrorists, and I'm not entirely sure why he's just casually strolling through the middle of gunfire, but I guess he's kinda used to this. I guess he's from Chicago. Kill more terrorists, find the exit, and... Ah shit, I forgot one. Alright, I've done it, I've disarmed the last bomb, and I have escaped the tower. Mission accomplished! This is a good one too. I saw the pictures on Steam and thought, you know, I've never played GoldenEye, so this would be a decent introduction, and I found myself enjoying it way more than I thought I ever would. Definitely recommend it. And now, for the final entry on today's list. Would you believe me if I told you this is running in GZ Doom? GZ Doom. I remember seeing the creator on Twitter talking about how nervous he was to release the demo to the public, and I thought, hey, I have absolutely no influence on the internet, and nobody gives a rat's ass about my opinions. Why don't I try it out? And oh my god. Selaco is like a mashup of Deus Ex, Fear, and the good parts of Doom 3. This absolute beast of a game sets out to do everything right and does it even more right than it needs to, and I saved it for the last in this video because this one took me about 45 minutes to play through. We're playing this on Captain difficulty because I'm not a baby-back bitch and have plenty of first-person shooter experience. There's also 3 different playstyles to choose from: Traditional, Hardcore, and Randomizer mode, which is not available in the demo. Traditional mode is what you'd expect. The game autosaves at checkpoints and allows you to quick save at any time. Hardcore mode disables these, but does allow you to save your game at Gwyn machines for 600 credits. Additionally, health regeneration is disabled, and reloading prematurely throws away every round left in the clip. Alright, health regeneration. Okay, so once you're under 35 HP and you manage to avoid taking damage for a few seconds, your suit will begin regenerating health up to 35. It's useful if you aren't able to find any health pickups. Let's talk about the combat first, which is what seems to stand out the most to me. You'll find 3 weapons in this demo: the UC-36 assault rifle, the Roaring Cricket, and the ESG-24 pump-action shotgun. The assault rifle is my personal favorite weapon so far, as I found myself using it the most out of the 3. Chambered in what I've been told are very powerful rounds, with a 30-round mag capacity, this bad boy will turn any grown man's clitoris into a raging lady boner. I think the feedback from each shot hitting your target, combined with a superb sound design to reflect said feedback, makes it an incredibly fun weapon to use, and the implementation of a headshot mechanic only makes it better. The Roaring Cricket is your pistol and is a secondary burst firing option in case semi-automatic isn't your thing. I don't really use the pistol other than to shoot explosive barrels. I tried using it a couple times and it is decent. A single shot from this does more than a single shot from the UC-36, but obviously the overall DPS is higher with the latter. The shotgun is, well, a shotgun. There isn't really much else to it. It does the job, but since you don't get an awful lot of ammo for it, I mainly save it for the Juggernaut. Oh, we'll get to him. The hit detection in general is just perfect. Your guns are responsive and dependable, and if you're hurting for a cover, you can flip over medical stretchers, which is a nice touch that I don't remember seeing in many FPS games in recent memory now that I think about it. Or any FPS games. If I had to make a suggestion, I think it would be really useful if a leaning mechanic was implemented. There's also grenades, which do exactly what you'd expect. You throw them, they go boom, and what's nice is that it shows the splash damage radius before they explode. Selaco's level design follows the traditional boom shooter layout. Not too linear, but there's a clear order in which you'll need to do things if you want to progress. You know, keycards, bosses, the whole thing. This map is pretty big and admittedly can get kind of confusing sometimes, so a lot of this footage is cut short for that reason. What the hell is this? Waifu Doom? Why do you... Oh. That's just wonderful. Selaco's demo puts you against 4 enemies. First up are the basic riflemen who carry the same UC-36 assault rifle you do. They're the most common enemy and will actually group together to flank you if they know you're around and you've already killed one of their squads. Next are the engineers who carry the shotgun and are incredibly dangerous, although they only take a slight beating more than the riflemen. Do not get close to these fuckers because they will shove their shotgun up your booty and put you down like a Reddit atheist putting down a mourning family. Third runners up are the jet troopers, and there's only 2 of them in this demo. The name is self-explanatory. Finally, we have the Juggernaut. The Juggernaut is the demo's mini-boss, and when I say he's a pain in the ass, I mean he's a pain in the ass. He shoots a minigun at you that makes the Duke 3D Battlelord's chain gun look like pussy shit in comparison, and your best bet of dealing with him is hiding behind cover, stepping out, shotgun blast, step back behind cover, rinse and repeat until he dies. There's also a vac bot that you can hug, which is just wholesome and something I didn't know I needed in a boomer shooter. There's so much more ground to cover with Selaco that I feel like I can't do it without spoiling a bunch of it, so this is going to be another case of I'm going to shut my mouth and tell you to check out the demo before I say too much. Steam Next Fest has been a blast this year, and I can't wait for these games to release so I can check them out in all of their finalized glory. If you guys are fans of boomer shooters, you should definitely check out the games I mentioned in this video because they are absolute bangers. I cannot overstate how much I enjoyed playing them and how much I recommend you try them out for yourselves too. With that all being said, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. We are almost halfway to 1,000 subscribers, which is absolutely insane, and I can't thank you guys enough for the support. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing for more content like this and leaving a like before you go. And also be sure to check out each demo on Steam. I'll leave the links in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.
What's up, guys? It's Zane Lofton. Before you go, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe, or I'll punch you in the nards.